Hey guys, sorry I had to postpone the live stream today. I ended up getting a photo shoot, and unfortunately I can't live stream my photo shoot today, so John and I are making this video for you. So let's jump into it. I got a really good question in from Mr. Weaver 82. He basically wanted to know, what do you do if you're in a situation where you only have one lens, speed lights, and maybe you're in like a dark cathedral, ceremony space? And he basically wanted to know like what I would do. So I wanted to kind of break this down for you guys to give you like a walkthrough of if I was in that situation, how would I basically handle it? First things first, I want to kind of cut the speed lights, like the use of speed lights out of this situation, because chances are if you are in a cathedral for a ceremony, you won't even be able to use speed lights, because when you're in spaces like that, especially if it's like one of the top ones in like New York or any cathedral for that matter, they're very, very picky about using flash photography in their space. So I would honestly just cut that out, because I almost will guarantee to you that they're not going to even let you use it. In some cases for ceremonies, they may let you use flashes when they're walking down the aisle, so when they're doing like the processional, so wedding party and the bride. But once usually they get to like the front of the aisle, it's like all flash photography is off. As far as the lens though, I feel like most of us, if we're, new to being a wedding photographer or, photography in general, chances are there's two lenses that you're gonna lean towards buying. You're either gonna buy a 50mm or you're gonna buy a 24-70. I find that most people, like first lens, usually lean towards buying the 50mm, which is honestly a really great lens, especially if you invested some of your money into buying one of like the 1.4 or a 1.8 lens. And for this one, what I would recommend is that overall, whether if you have a 24-70 or 50mm, you need to use it as an opportunity to get creative. I find that sometimes when you have like every single lens that you can possibly have, you kind of find yourself just picking up your safety cameras anyway, so you might lean more towards a 70-200 in a cathedral, but if you don't have it, you can still get great shots. You just need to really push yourself to get creative and see, how you can think outside the box. One thing that I do, if let's say I wanted to get shots on like a 50mm or even a 24-70, is I might even try and like sit in the actual pews where some of the guests are sitting. So this way I'm also getting like a shot that captures more of like the perspective of how other people are seeing the shot on like a 24-70, or at the same time using that 50mm. If you're shooting at, let's say, f1.4 or f1.8, you can really like drop that f-stop down to that. And, from capturing, those shots in between people, you'll still get really creative, portraits as well. Don't think of like the fact that you only have one lens that you can't get great shots. You can. It really just comes down to like you using your mind and basically knowing like, where can I go? Talk to the officiant, see how far you can get, to like the front of the altar, or how close you can get. Really work your angles, and to be honest, you'll definitely come out with really great shots. And also make sure you even check to see if they have like a balcony or some other space in the room that will also allow you to get really great shots too. The benefit of only having one lens is that it forces you to get creative. The fact that you don't have that 70-200 lens that you can just shoot from the side, it forces you to say, okay, how can I get a really great shot of these people close up? It might force you to get in the pews where guests are sitting, and sit next to them and get, unique shots of, folks sitting down and everything. So definitely, like, the fact that you have one lens, don't stress about it, because I think most of the time when we're in like a ceremony situation, we're only switching between one or two lenses anyways, which might be like a wide 16-35 or a tight 70-200. So definitely don't stress. And honestly, overall, like, you may want to talk to even like your client. Maybe they're willing to give you like a rental budget for the wedding, or you can maybe just rent like the extra lens that you want, like a 70-200. Like I said, if you're in like this cathedral type setting. So again, like, don't stress the fact that you only have one lens. Like, you can still get really creative shots. Overall, if you're worried about, getting dark images because you only have one lens, that really just depends on your settings and what settings that you're actually using in the space. Most of the times, what I would recommend for settings is whatever your shutter speed, whatever millimeter you're shooting at on your lens, is roughly the millimeter that you should be shooting on your camera. So for example, if you're using a 50 millimeter lens, you should be shooting roughly at 50, at a 50 shutter speed. And, as far as like your ISO goes, I mean, if it's dark, it's dark. You need to bring up your ISO, but also consider too that sometimes you can, sometimes it is a little bit better to shoot a little darker because you can brighten up the image in, let's say, Lightroom or Photoshop and remove some of the grain more, more naturally. So there's definitely many different options that you guys can try. I hope this video, answers your question, Mr. Weaver 82. And, if you guys have any other questions, definitely leave a comment below. And I look forward to seeing you next week on our live stream. Let me just say, next week's live stream is going to be extra special because it is Valentine's Day. First thing I want to add is that we are going to change the time because I figured a lot of you guys would probably be going out with your significant others or maybe going out on like a first date. We're going to move the time from 5 p.m. to 12 o'clock next week, Thursday, okay? What you're going to love about next week's live stream is the fact that we're going to be doing a live tutorial. So I'm going to be showing you guys how you can take the wedding rings from the couple and put them into really creative portraits showing basically hearts in every single one. So not only is this great for Valentine's Day, but it's also something that you can do on your next wedding. So make sure you guys are ready for next week, Thursday, because this is going to be a live tutorial. You're going to literally be able to see how to do every single one of these shots for yourself too.